Trump way. Free Trump, okay?
That's right.
Yeah, free Trump, Trump way. No fucking no abuse, okay?
Stop Pakistan, Trump way.
Stop Trump way, okay? Fucking no.
He's number one. He's a biblical leader. Now they're going to throw me out of the poorhouse. Guess what? Poor officers, I'm going to put you on a cop, on the lid, and start on you now. That's my next cup of coffee for you guys. Poor officers. For all you poor officers, I'm going to put your name on a cop, and I'm going to stomp on your asses now. We're doing that shit.
COA is a lot better.
I'm going to put your name on the top of a cup, a lid, and stomp on your asses now. All four officers for the Supreme Criminal Courthouse.
屌你老母！你鎖心好撚流嘅。
sorry, my friend. Where's the guy who was here before?
Okay.
Yeah, you would make these do, right? So much revenue from advertising. I mean, like on TV and well, there's comics. Oh, yeah.
Hey!
Excellent. I give you my card, right?
Oh, yeah, where is it?
Grab right over there with the tripod.
You can use my tripod. I can go up there.
The problem is, mean, I'm live right now. Cool. I'm not
We'll make it. We'll make it here because
But I mean, I can still be cool for the duration of your live shot.
should be a cat. Thank you. Appreciate it. I can't believe that's something like that. I have no idea. Get out the bag.
I understand if the guy can't do any heavy lifting anymore. He's standing right there on the same level. I'm like, right, he doesn't do this stuff.
Dad. I hope Kevin met you tomorrow. That's even harder. No, stop. It's very jacket. I told my wife, I'll talk to you later tonight. Don't text. All right, I'm a little annoyed about the tripod being busted.
Hey, Dan, good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
You see you there.
What's that? Nothing anymore. Everyone already went in.
Oh, the scaffolding.
No, I'm cool. I'm cool. Live exterior camera.
So much.
Sure. And the scaffolding's gone. They changed the road.
Yeah, for criminal court, it looks pretty good.
The mic is hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
stand the box up. Oh, like a table.
Basically now, is that auto sync? It's weird, right? Like it's just like it says put the Allah up to the thing. It's like down here. That's so hard. Why would it be up? You gotta get off the other or fight it. Dude, but when I do I can just choose the slot, scan.
lose the whole. Look at the shot. I lose the building.
Hey, how's your New Year?
Pretty good. How are you? Good.
Yeah, do your thing.
Bye.
You're good.
Thank you. Once again.
That was another guy from AP.
Something? No. Oh yeah, no. They actually work yesterday.
No, I got a PS5. So I paid PS5. My daughter gave me this basketball. Oh, it was war. That's what I was wearing for you. That's what I had.
Which gets you.
They would try to rent. But I had socks. I have extra socks. That's on.
Sorry.
Special Curtis.
1, 2, 3, 4, and Curtis. Like guys, girls, and Curtis.
Guys.
You're special.
If you say so.
We got 1 minute.
Spread out, like my cameras are out, everything sitting on the subway.
What? Maybe across.
And my camera switched to
Oh, you told me that. Like,
the self timer. And I was like shooting, and I'm like, what? Why is it not firing? And then seconds
I've done that
I got
too.
the 4. I got the 4. I'm like,
Thank you, Curtis. Because you're the only one facing backwards. That way.
got an exclusive.
No, it's cool. That's the point.
Yeah.
One person is doing that.
Everybody gets.
Depends on your definition of the end game, Jeff. It's been open for a week. Lucy sent out a tweet the other day. I thought it was last week. Oh, yeah. She wants to get rid of you?
really? Really?
She's insane. I wouldn't let you go.
Oh no, who's gonna come in New York then?
They might be hiring someone else.
And Kelly.
Yes.
No, we already
Because Pablo
have,
and
right?
Evan don't like you. Yeah, because the two people who make decisions hate you. Fucking Evan, how awesome you are. One more time.
Laura's like, I seen him? I go, I don't know.
Sorry.
Hopefully I'll be done by 1. Sleep by 3. Oh, I had 1 drink last night, 1 cocktail after I got home. Oh yeah, I was passed out on my couch. Did you? I was on the phone my whole train ride. We were at the funeral. She was here.
I am just communicating.
That's right. That was nice.
How you doing, bud? Saw you up there. How you doing, man? Trying to catch up with you a little bit now.
Yeah, you married into it.
No, actually we did. They weren't gonna like.
Oh really?
They like closed it off at first, and then I went like, where are you cheap?
I would think the PIO would be like, let's go. Yes.
The PAO didn't. Okay, so it's like it's on the base, but it's like a museum, so it's a separate command. So he didn't even realize that they closed it off. He like sent me the guy who was like, this is what you for. I'm like, this says that I can't come. Anyway,
He's with the, what is it, lawyer?
Did you do that at like 8,000 a second?
No, actually, it's down to 200.
Really?
Yeah. I was like at F4, like, it was bright light, I was shooting.
Yeah,
at that.
yeah.
And then I was just getting smoked, so I had to go down to like F22 and then 200.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
Yeah.
I saw that last night. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. She's standing behind the cannon as it's going off and it's exploding. It's cool as fuck.
Why did you go to the Connecticut?
You raced in?
What do you opt for, like going to the next one?
It was a plane one done solely for Carter. It's when it was right off the
It was. It was in all the slideshows. Well, when I say all the slideshows, I look at 3. Yeah, well, yes.
Those are the ones posted in the Slack channel.
Are they?
Love them and send them like for some reason.
Because they used to. They used to. Yeah. And when you're over a certain age, AOL is so I use it. My Gmail Yeah. Me too. I use mine.
I have a Hotmail.
Oh, I had CompuServe and 87, 88. You had numbers.
Yeah.
That was Al Gore. Al Gore invented the internet. Yep.
Then they switched to the circles.
I mean, that
Carry it herpes back.
you have to take it down by and then the mud destroy your feet.
Exactly.
Like I would always do like a season trifecta.
Follow suits.
I remember my friend, his parents got him unlimited any race. This is the first one I ran is 16. Oh yeah. I was like, please don't break a leg, please don't break a leg. That was so much fun.
Al.
Nobody yourself.
New York City pass. They won't let me take my laptop. Yeah, they won't let me take my laptop. You know? You do? Yeah, I got you.
Now hold on. Or no, not ACDC. That's not Ozzy Osbourne. But yes, yes. It was playing on the TV on an ad.
You already watched TV at 6 in the morning.
But I just like,
That's nice. Good at it. No, my boss does mustache. So we get beaten, and she said, well, why didn't you do this? The person in charge of that decision is the guy who also decided to fire the guy who won the last six political, the last four presidential. I didn't know if you know because she's not staffing. From that in Ferguson. Still
Enjoy that freedom.
And then Saturday, I was
how many rounds? 5? That's why they said to me, I'm going to take like 3 days somewhere where you turn off your brain. Because they don't get 5 days. First year is 2 weeks. Second year is 3 weeks. Fourth year, 4 weeks. 10 years, 5 weeks. 5 weeks. He also Kevin does small. Kevin doesn't. Banker. I have 100 books. just trying to balance. If you're gonna go long, I'll do wide.
Still trying to jam. Mattress tag. It's illegal to do that.
Yeah. You start 3 weeks later. You start 2 weeks later. That's not a long break.
This might seem the first day we were doing DC, we were doing the first day we were doing like cell destruction, no pads, how we stacked in. So the first day I went to athletics and I went to tackles. Like with my neck. Yo, when I hit him, all I heard was I was like stretching. I was like, oh, that didn't feel right.
What about holidays?
I was like, lesson learned.
We
And then I
have,
make sure, like,
I think we get, so the holidays follow New York Stock Exchange holidays. I think we have we have 11 holidays.
they had like, all right, one of us, like,
I know.
they were showing it earlier, like, before it went around the red zone.
Once we get started.
Come home last night. My kids have about 7:40. I'm like, do you know how much this is gonna cost me? Yeah, they don't pay.
Heat is not included in your bill?
No. We have to pay because it's electric.
Oh.
So you have to pay your electric.
Oh, shit. Heat on electric.
Yeah, me too. Every
For electric? You don't even get that in the summer, it's barely maybe.
On a normal one, I pay your 300.
Ours is like 80 or 90.
Yeah. 3 bedrooms. And children have 6 things going at once.
Leave all the lights on when they leave.
Well, lights on, that doesn't matter. I think I always do lights on. But it's the other shit. Crank. Some degrees.
How you said it sounds
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a child had a symptom. If it's hot outside, yeah. If it's cold
I
outside.
sleep with the window open this much in the winter because the radiators are so hot. Whoa. Blast. I have like humidifier going, the windows open and still.
For me, that would be ideal to do that. Nice steam heat, and leave a crack in the window so the cold air comes in.
You're welcome anytime. Joshua.
Oh yeah? No, it's a guy in person.
No, Joshua.
I mean, it may be more. It
might be
sometimes
one more.
they bring extras that just want to come and watch.
I just like the fact that this is a public hallway.
Headed.
Where's my clock, kid?
5 man?
Yeah, we're ready to roll.
Oh, you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
You always kind of like, I'm in a Mary. Please don't be a Mary. Go ahead. 1, 2, 3, 4. What about all the principals?
Curtis? 4 and Curtis. There's Curtis. He's coming right here. 4 and Curtis.
I'm 4 and Curtis. I didn't root it.
Stay ready, they just might be setting them up.
I think that's exactly what. I don't know if you're using your cell phone. Yeah, oh, that's that. They say we brought in through the judge's chambers. Huh. The world there.
You had to put it down when it was going on my head. I still feel kind of put it down.
There's a cafeteria on the first floor. You can get those.
You know what? I think that I didn't eat like nutritiously for breakfast, so I can make it.
Yeah, important. Oh, I get some eggs now. Yep. Some pretty good price too.
That was super weird.
It's not working. Yeah, they already used that. I saw that.
Both sides?
Emil Bow. Emil Bow.
I did not see him.
Him himself is fine, right? With the audience.
What?
Him himself.
Yes. It's nice that the camera on them was out of focus. Yep.
Wow. I felt great about it.
Well, Trump has just like had his head out.
Yep.
I didn't realize you can't shoot the back of his head when I walked in.
It's always been the rule. Remember?
Yeah,
Shut it down.
Yeah.
Just don't move it.
No.
all along. Right?
All right, the defendant, you have anything to say before I pass sentence? That's where they might go on.
Oh, they're gonna give him a chance to speak?
Yeah, you always get a chance.
I shot at 24, I shot at 35, and I shot at 50.
See, the problem is he disseminates so much bad information, and it just causes a firestorm. Say, if his mouth is moving, he's lying. On his left.
No, he's not allowed in here. I have, there was a secret amount. Sorry, Lev, but it's cool. Yeah, I have a list.
Like I said, you might have a few minutes right now.
Hopefully it's not over.
Did anybody come of the lawyer or no, nobody's come?
Somehow they're all silent. How did he get in?
Back there, and then,
They let him in?
looks like it.
He's,
I know, he's a lawyer.
you're not allowed in here, Lev. It's cool.
Okay,
No, it's cool. Fuck out. Jesus.
Are you okay? Okay, here's the deal, they brought everybody around the court. If you wanna go warm up, I'll let you know when it's over, and maybe let us can get to the holding place, maybe that's probably where they brought everybody in.
that would be the next place to
Go
go.
warm up, I'll give you a heads up. Two prosecutors, but they won't be three, it'll just be a under both. All right?
Hilarious. It's an agency.
He doesn't, I mean, meaning he's a contributor,
Yeah.
No?
not a stringer. I think.
He's not.
I like Lev a lot.
I like him too, but
Rodden, Reagan.
Oh, Leslie, I don't know.
We met in the test negative. So you still may be okay. said you're a very generous man, and you generally give really nice gifts.
Yeah, I didn't give you your envelope yet.
Yeah, where's my envelope? Yeah, I know.
Nobody had come up with this.
Yeah. Yeah. And but it's back focused. The focus was on the flag.
Is it usable?
Huh?
Is it usable?
I mean, it's the TV. It looks like shit.
No.
So are we still waiting for you or not?
We've been in the house. Marshawn and I like we're gonna bench now. See him?
Maybe they'll come out. Otherwise, we'll go to Hogan. Bove is the short guy with the ball. That's what I was saying.
Bove is.
We know.
Yeah. So he might come out.
He should
They
have
go in.
He should have gone in this way. We should have shown
We never saw this.
I know we did.
I just don't want to hear that he's telling me that I missed it.
We definitely did not.
Oh, look, we use that as a percent anything. As long as it's not their fault.
Right.
They'll cover their ass game.
Yeah.
No, Umar, it's pool.
Who lets them in?
Where's that?
What protest? It's like that right there.
I got Dave out there, so. Where's Bo? Oh, there he is. Okay. I didn't see the two front teeth.
Okay, so there's nothing going on in this hallway. Lawyers and prosecutors are here to the judge's chambers. Oh, Farrington's there? Okay, all right, very good. All right, I'm here. Okay, bye-bye.
Where's Bill at the protest?
He's outside.
Okay, let me say hi to him.
Yes, I don't have to worry about that. Good, excellent.
Did he say how many people were there?
No, I just saw a picture.
Oh, okay.
I didn't speak to him, but there's a giant flag out there.
Really?
Yeah. It seems like it's 12 feet wide.
Hey, Bill, Cobb, I'll be down as soon as this is over, period. Stay warm.
For the future, I know what I'm gonna do.
Better
I'm gonna do this for a few.
Looks like the kid waiting outside the principal's office.
Because we have letters from Portland and press.
Oh, geez.
No, it's important.
But these are good. These are a little bit super light. And for sure, a fellow like me, so. You know, I'm not like Justin Lane, where I just tower over. Put my arm up like this and then 14 feet in the air.
Are you going back there?
Sure am.
Can you put these on the cart, please?
The first 10 frames are like wacky colors.
Well, most of the courtrooms in this building have those energy-saving lights.
Yeah, I
So
know.
if you shoot blast of 3, one's green, one's red, one's normal.
No, it's not flashy. It's a light.
What, the bulbs are changing color?
They vary in
They
frequency.
cycle. If yours went through, oh, I can't see what drops into our server. No. If I have to get my laptop out to look.
Pictures.reuters.com.
You didn't get a test?
No, I didn't get a bill.
A what?
I didn't get a bill. I set it up and
Dave got the bat.
And it got a fail?
Dave got the bat.
I mean,
I got one through this morning in
it's
the
30
server.
feet long.
So.
Oh my God, what does this guy use the flamethrower to start a fire? This guy uses a flamethrower. Where is that even getting?
Hollywood props.
Yeah? They're not cheap.
You can buy them. You used to be able to buy them from Tesla. Yeah. Yeah.
You get a can of flammable liquid and you hold a batch in front of it when you spray it. It's the same thing.
Well, I don't know if it was that or a flamethrower. It just says flamethrower. Looks like a propane tank. Nozzle.
All right.
That's all.
That's the stuff you huff at night, right? You get the whipped cream and you huff it.
No, that's nitrous oxide.
Yeah.
This is propane.
New York Magazine just did a whole story on everybody using nitrous oxide these days to get high. Well, they found one woman who got addicted.
Get addicted to.
I love it.
Oh, that's it? Oh, back to when we were stuck in that park, right? Shooting through the double fence.
And it's kind of stuff to be in the city. While he sits in Mar-a-Lago.
Yep. Curtis, your stuff went through. Yeah, all the pool picks are
It
dropping.
was organized since the beginning of the trial, so yeah. So it's like
He's
usually
asking for
like
explanations
that are
now.
approved and I rotate. So
It's part of the pool location.
It's a free pass.
Pool is formed. Pool was
You know, the
created
fire that
a
we
year
had at
ago.
Prospect Park was also started by Congress.
I can't hear you.
We had a fire at Prospect Park about a month ago.
Yeah?
Nothing heard about that?
Yeah?
That was also a homeless person story. I was up there the next day. All this cooking stuff was in the woods, all burned up. Grills, even microwaves. People throwing out their Christmas trees is usually flamethrower, light the Christmas trees on.
Just terrible what goes on in this world. Greg, isn't there anything you could do about that?
You know, the sad thing is I've never been there, right? So I haven't seen it. I've been to San Francisco and San Diego, but not LA. Yeah, apparently so. Yeah. You know, now they say the Hollywood Bowl is in jeopardy again.
Always in jeopardy.
Yeah.
Oh,
I used to live right there.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there's a hill, and it's all just like shitty, dry stuff all around it. It's terrible.
So it's like the mountains come down real quick, down to
Yeah, well,
to
those,
the base.
that's the Hollywood Hills.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, boom, there's like Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah.
And then the ocean.
Hollywood Boulevard, then Sunset Boulevard. Then,
Pacific Coast Highway.
no, Pacific Coast Highway is this, Sunset Hollywood.
Perpendicular.
Yeah, and, you know, there's 4 major roads, then the 10, then the 101 basically caps it, the 101.
don't forget the
Cuts
five.
off. Yeah,
The 5.
or sorry, the 5, the 10 is the parallel.
Is the 5 the one that goes out to Santa Monica?
5, yes.
Okay. Ventura. Is that Ventura Highway?
What do they
The
call
5?
Sing a few bars, so we know what you mean.
Well, you know, they're all from Riverside.
Yeah.
Their parents were army brats, so they were stationed in London, and they didn't want anybody to think that they were British. So that's why they named it And America. But their first album was all, you know, they have a song called Riverside, and Ventura Highway, of course, as you know. All of this, you know, homesick for Southern California. Have you been, John?
Who did that? Todd Blanche? I was there.
Todd Blanche.
Tuesday.
Oh.
He was at the appeals court.
Oh, okay. Not here. Oh, all right. Now they're saying there's fires in San Diego? No.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes? Oh my God.
Santa Ana's been blowing, baby. The whole up and down.
Yeah. Well, I think
The
that
clock winds, it
close to 100, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the climatologists, I don't think they factored in. You can factor in heat, you know, temperature rise. ice cap melt, sea level rise, but I don't know if they factored in the increase in winds. You know, we work outside, right? Did you notice like there's wind all the time, not even when there's no storm? I've noticed blue sky, you know, in the old days if the storm was coming, you might get a little wind before the storm.
Check.
Of course, during. Now you have 2 weeks of blue sky and it's 40-mile-an-hour winds. Yeah, but that wasn't always like that. That was only when it was attached to storms coming in and leaving. We had 2 weeks of wind, blue sky. Yeah. I think the climate change is making the winds higher. And that's of course, the irony of course is that that's good for wind turbines. I think the difference if the whole country's going down. Doesn't matter how much wind you have for wind turbines. Half the country goes down. It's the great joke and irony of this whole thing.
There was an explanation on. Listening to an NPR thing was explaining it all the other day.
What was the gist of it?
I'm trying to remember. I didn't pay that much attention. I was driving.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Actually.
I mean, I was listening, but not listening. Oh, wait.
Jesus. You want to get down, Jeff?
Yeah.
Tell him.
No, it's too tight over there. It's too tight over there.
Is anybody watching the next week?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Oh, we did.
This was a case that Alvin Bragg did not want to bring. He thought it was inappropriately handled before he got it. The gentleman was brought in from a law firm. It was criminal what he did. He was involved with my political opponent. It was a legal expense. Experts who are no friends of mine have said this case should have been brought.
This is a quote from Trump.
This is not a case that should not have been brought. There were legal expenses. Yeah, well, so he sold gold sneakers to cover it.
Who's saying this?
Trump.
Oh, he's speaking right now?
Obviously, this did not work. I won. Well, no,
you didn't.
Not in this
Did
year.
you, asshole?
Well, he won.
Oh, being
He won being elected.
Oh, is that what he meant?
They're one and the same. You can't be in trouble if you're in charge.
Anybody else?
Kind of like you can deface the Capitol building, but it's okay.
As long as you wear a MAGA hat. It's fine as long as you wear a red hat.
Yeah.
I mean, all the other defendants still have to face trials.
What other defendants?
Well, you've got the defendants down at Mar-a-Lago moving those boxes around, like Malta and some other guy, I can't remember his name. And then, of course, all the January 6 folks, they're all in deep shit too still.
They're about to be pardoned.
Pardoned.
Yeah, but they still got to pay for lawyers, right? They still got to show up in court and all that. I mean, it's a nightmare.
Well, they have.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They're not pardoned yet, anyway.
No. Well, they should have to pay because they fucking defaced the Capitol.
Exactly. Yeah, we probably have to pay for those repairs anyway.
We did.
And we're paying for all the security for this building every time we back up.
Trump says I was under a gag order. I assume I'm still under it. I'm totally
That I'm
innocent.
fine with. I
did
just don't
nothing
like the
wrong.
defacing of the Capitol.
The business records were
I
accurate.
love that building.
Anybody wants to do this? All right, I'll
Yeah, no.
get it. Go ahead. Talk to
Jeff,
Brad.
listen.
You know the door that
What live club are you on?
Matt, Inner City Press.
Said by who? Cassie Pesty.
It looked like that door that Ashley Babbitt climbed through. That was like a 100-year-old wooden door.
Okay, he's done talking. You have a gentleman sitting right there who was with Department of Justice. He got them to move on it. They called it lawfare. I'd just like to explain I was treated very, very unfairly. Thank you very much, Judge Mershon. Thank you, Mr. Trump. So that's that. He had what he had to say. Mershon's going to pass sentence, and that's that. I'm sorry.
Well, I was like, I think it's like trauma. I got super dehydrated when I was young, like 9 years old. I'm gonna go to the hospital. Like that level. Ever since then, I'm always drinking more water. And it just keeps getting worse. I have to like tell myself to just stop. Like on the other day, I woke up and was like, I'm not gonna try.
When everyone's sending me the application, like, I don't have like internet or something.
No, they're encouraging you to do it.
I will do it.
Get it done.
I know.
Unless you want to stay in New York.
Is it coming to an end yet?
It's likely yes.
So I can be drunk by noon and in bed by 1?
Looks like they're putting everybody out the back door again.
What's the purpose of that?
Ask Bragg, don't ask him.
Because they are concerned that if people see their pictures, the MAGA people will come after them.
And they're probably not wrong to think.
Yeah, exactly.
Aaron, is it over? Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Nearing an end.
Huh?
Nearing an end.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, look what happened with those two poll workers down in Atlanta, right? They had to move.
Yep.
They were threatened.
Yep.
I mean, one woman's what, 75 years old? or
Yep.
something like that?
They broke into her house.
Yeah, I mean,
Judge Mershon, I have sentenced countless defendants, sex trafficking and homicide. This circumstance is unique. This has been an extraordinary case, media, but once the courtroom doors closed, it was just a trial. Jury selection continued. So he's about to pass sentence.
Who is the feds?
so he's just going to get
Conditional discharge.
conditional. So then that even like probation?
No, it doesn't matter. He's a felon.
I had conditional discharge once. It was terrible. It was green and oozy. It was right out of my arm.
You should be on
You ate
TV.
that,
then I
you
can
ate
tell
all those
you.
jalapenos in Mexico. Came out through your skin. You don't want anything with the word discharge in it. We just got so lucky about life, right? Like, it's amazing how many things he's wiggled out.
It's over. Where do we go?
Jack Smith drops those 2 cases. That's unbelievable. I mean, how much money did that cost the taxpayer to do that work?
Mershon, it is my obligation to consider all aggregating factors already in my Sandoval ruling and other rulings. The protections afforded to the office of the president are not a mitigating factor, but they are a legal mandate.
Interesting. Legal
It
mandate.
means he's just not going to face any punishment. That's what that means.
Well, he already said that.
Yep, no punishment. I want to know why they didn't
lunch.
Lunch. Is it noon already? Right, Jeff?
I was gonna do this leapfrog. I need a new back and a new spine. No, that doesn't help. Fuck you up.
The blurb, as we call it.
I have it, that's all I'll say.
Green cards out.
Return your cards, please.
Green cards out. Green cards are being collected. Green cards out.
There's more on minutes down there. Please return your cards.
Green cards out. Being collected. Green cards are being collected. Keep walking this way. Green cards out.
Don't think the elevator's working. Return your cards, please.
Thank you very much. Turn your cards down there. Green cards out. Keep the card out. They're being collected. Keep the green cards out. Green cards out.
Oh, that was fun.
Green cards out. They're being collected. Green cards out. No?
Thank you. Yeah. But for whatever reason, when I opened
Green cards out. They're being collected. Green cards out.
actually seem to be difficult.
Thank you, man. Good luck out there.
Thank you very much.
Oh, God.
This was told that I was first. Angela was second. No. That was the fifth one. Looking at the page.
I didn't really get that.
It was right, no, right when we walked home.
Oh, yeah?
Was it the beginning? Yeah, it was at the beginning. I'm all
mostly just the spirit of the house. No, it didn't.
Yeah, Sean? All right. Good job.
That's mine. You're going back to bed.
My brother's birthday. And he lives here, so I figured I'd have dinner with him. Sorry. See you soon.
Take those buddy.
unless you're really in New York. She's just visiting from DC.
She must have been
Calling Part 59 calendar number 1, Donald Trump, indictment 71543 of 23.
Your appearances, please.
Good morning. The people, ADA's Joshua Steinglass, Christopher Conroy, Susan Hoffinger, Becky Mangold, Matthew Colangelo, and Catherine Ellis.
Good morning, people.
Emil Bovey for President Trump, who's appearing via Teams. He's co-located with my partner, Todd Blanche.
All right, good morning, Ms. Bovey. Good morning, Mr. Blanche. Good morning, Mr. Trump.
Good morning.
Although Mr. Bovey has already alluded to it, just for the record, I want to make clear that Mr. Blanche is appearing virtually with Mr. Trump, and you're currently in Florida, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Trump's other attorney, Mr. Bovey, is with us in the courtroom. Pursuant to this court's decision and order dated January 3rd, 2025, Mr. Trump was given the option of appearing virtually. And subsequently, counsel for Mr. Trump informed this court that Mr. Trump had elected to waive personal appearance and appear virtually. Imposition of sentence in this matter is permitted in New York, and I direct your attention to the matter of People v. Reyes, 72 Miscellaneous 3rd, 1133, 2021. Before turning to the matter of sentencing, I want to confirm that the people and defense counsel have both received copies of the probation report. You have not. I let the record reflect that the people are being handed a copy now. So Bovey's being handed a copy. Why don't you take some time and look at it, okay?
Thank you.
While the parties look at the probation report, Mr. Blanche, I'd like to confirm that you received an e-copy of the report?
Yes, Your Honor. We received a copy this morning, and I have it in front of me.
Is there anything about that report that you would like to put on the record?
Nothing other than the fact that it was that some of the facts and procedural history, especially involving other cases, are not up to date because of what's happened since the date of the report. But otherwise, given what we expect is happening today, nothing.
Okay, thank you. People, is there anything about the probation report that you would like to put on the record?
No, Judge, I'm just need a couple.
You need more time? Sure.
Thank you, Judge.
Sure.
Sure.
I don't think there's anything that we need to put on the record about it.
Okay, thank you. Let's impose sentence, please.
Donald Trump, you are before the court for sentence following your conviction by trial to 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. Before being sentenced, the court will allow you, your attorney, and the assistant district attorney an opportunity to address the court with any matters relevant to sentencing. For the people?
Thank you. Judge, where's the preferred place for me to stand?
Wherever you feel comfortable.
The defendant in this case, as you know, stands convicted of 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree, all Class E felonies. Each carries a range of authorized sentencing options for as much as 1 1/3 to 4 years in state prison to a variety of non-incarceratory sentences. In this court's January 3rd decision on the defendant's Clayton motion, Your Honor indicated an inclination to impose an unconditional discharge. Under all the circumstances of this case, its unique posture and the defendant's status as president-elect, the people recommend a sentence of an unconditional discharge. In finding the defendant guilty in this case, the jury necessarily found unanimously that the defendant falsified 34 separate entries in his business records with the intent to defraud, which included an intent to commit or conceal a conspiracy to promote his own election by unlawful means. Having presided over the trial, Your Honor is very familiar with the conduct, its seriousness, and the overwhelming evidence to support the jury's verdict. I'm certainly not going to rehash that now. In last week's decision on January 3rd, this court referred to the gravamen of the defendant's conduct, his criminal conduct in this case, as constituting, quote, premeditated and continuous deception. The verdict was delivered by a jury that was carefully chosen using an extensive questionnaire based on suggestions from both parties and after thorough questioning of the prospective jurors by both sides. The verdict in this case was unanimous and decisive, and it must be respected. As this court has observed, quote, the sanctity of a jury verdict and the deference that must be accorded to it is a bedrock principle in our nation's jurisprudence. The defendant's conduct before, during, and after this trial also merits consideration. Instead of preserving, protecting, and defending our constitutionally established system of criminal justice, the defendant, the once and future President of the United States, has engaged in a coordinated campaign to undermine its legitimacy. Far from expressing any kind of remorse for his criminal conduct, the defendant has purposefully bred disdain for our judicial institutions and the rule of law. And he's done this to serve his own ends and to encourage others to reject the jury verdict that he finds so distasteful. He has characterized these proceedings as corrupt, rigged, a witch hunt, or a sham too many times to tabulate. The defendant's rhetoric has only ratcheted up since this court's rulings on his motions to dismiss. He has been unrelenting in his unsubstantiated attacks upon this court and its family, individual prosecutors and their families, the witnesses, the grand jury, the trial jury, and the justice system as a whole. The defendant has not only been held in contempt by other jurists in other matters, but this court alone found the defendant in contempt for 10 distinct violations of the order restricting extrajudicial speech. In his legal filings, the defendant has used dangerous rhetoric in leveling accusations of intentionally unlawful and unconstitutional conduct on the part of this court and the prosecution. As this court has noted, the defendant's conduct, quote, constitutes a direct attack on the rule of law itself. Moreover, the defendant has publicly threatened to retaliate against the prosecutors who have sought to hold him accountable in this and other matters, and the courts who have endeavored to fairly and faithfully adjudicate these matters. Such threats are designed to have a chilling effect, to intimidate those who have the responsibility to enforce our laws, in the hopes that they will ignore the defendant's transgressions because they fear that he is simply too powerful to be subjected to the same rule of law as the rest of us. In his 2024 end-of-year report, United States Supreme Court Chief Justice Roberts warned of the dangers of such conduct. Quote, "Public officials, too, regrettably, have engaged in recent attempts to intimidate judges. For example, suggesting political bias in the judge's adverse rulings without credible basis for such allegations," end quote. Chief Justice Roberts continued, quote, "Attempts to intimidate judges for their rulings are inappropriate and should be vigorously opposed. Public officials certainly have a right to criticize the work of the judiciary, but they should be mindful that intemperance in their statements when it comes to judges may prompt dangerous reactions by others." Chief Justice Roberts also spoke of the dangers of disinformation, which are, quote, "magnified by social media, which provides a ready channel to instantly spread rumor and false information." Put simply, this defendant has caused enduring damage to public perception of the criminal justice system and has placed officers of the court in harm's way. In the probation report, which we just received this morning, the author, having interviewed the defendant, noted that the defendant sees himself as above the law and won't accept responsibility for his actions. And that's certainly consistent with everything else that we've seen. Now, in a typical case, both the offense conduct and these other exacerbating factors would impact the appropriate sentence. But in this case, we must be respectful of the office of the presidency and mindful of the fact that the defendant will be inaugurated as president in 10 days. Any undischarged portion of a sentence has the potential to interfere with the defendant's performance of the duties of his office. As a practical matter, the most sensible sentence prior to his inauguration is an unconditional discharge. The court has expressed an inclination to do exactly that because, in the court's words, quote, "the most viable solution to ensure finality and allow defendant to pursue his appellate options is to proceed to sentence." Now, as you know, in New York, a conditional discharge is authorized by penal law, quote, "if the court, having regard to the nature and circumstances of the offense and to the history, character, and condition of the defendant, is of the opinion that neither the public interest nor the ends of justice would be served by a sentence of imprisonment, and that probation supervision is not appropriate." An unconditional discharge is authorized if a conditional discharge is authorized and, quote, "if the court is of the opinion that no proper purpose would be served by imposing any condition upon the defendant's release." Because these crimes are felonies, the court must set forth in the record the reasons for its action. The American public has the right to a presidency unencumbered by pending court proceedings or ongoing sentence-related obligations. But imposing this sentence ensures that finality. Sentencing the defendant permits this court to enter judgment, to cement the defendant's status as a convicted felon while he pursues whatever appeals he intends to pursue. And it gives full effect and respect to the jury's verdict while preserving the defendant's ability to govern. People therefore recommend that this court impose a sentence of an unconditional discharge. Thank you.
Thank you. Counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. I very much disagree with much of what the government just said about this case, about the legitimacy of what happened in this courtroom during the trial and about President Trump's conduct fighting this case from before it was indicted to while it was indicted, through the jury's verdict, and even to this day. What the government just said presupposes something that we disagree with very much, which was that this was an appropriate case to be brought. It was not. This case, without a doubt, knowing everything we know about the timing of the investigation, the fact that multiple prosecutors looked at the fact of this case, including prosecutors within the district attorney's office in New York County, and made a decision not to bring charges. As the court knows, shortly after President Trump announced his intention to run for re-election, this case was started for what amounted to a third time, which brings us ultimately to where we are today. A lot of what the government just said presupposes that this case is legally appropriate and that the charges that were brought by the people were consistent with the laws of New York. Again, we very much disagree with that, and as everybody has been noted, because it's true, we certainly intend on appealing that. And it's not, by the way, just counsel and President Trump that feels that way. There's many, many, many legal experts that share the same views that I just said, which is that legally this case should not have been brought, both based on the facts that were established at trial and also on the legal basis for which they were brought. But it's also not just the legal experts, not just counsel, and not just President Trump, but the majority of the American people also agree that this case should not have been brought. I mean, the interesting thing about the fact that there was a trial for the first time in our history, a criminal trial during an election season, is that the American voters got a chance to see and decide for themselves whether this is the kind of case that should have been brought. And they decided. And that's why in 10 days, President Trump was going to assume the office of the President of the United States. And certainly we're here for the court to sentence President Trump to an unconditional discharge. And for that, it's a very sad day. It's a sad day for President Trump and his family and friends. But it's also, in counsel's view, a sad day for this country, because this was a case, without a doubt, that was brought by a district attorney who promised that he would go after President Trump if elected, and felt like he had to go through with that promise. And so that's sad. And I hope, and I know that President Trump shares this view, that this will never happen again in this country. And so we certainly understand where we are today. We very much intend on pursuing an appeal of this verdict and what happened during this investigation. And we certainly believe that the only appropriate sentence, if one's to be imposed at all, which we very much believe it shouldn't be, and that the case should be dismissed, is a sentence of an unconditional discharge. Thank you.
Thank you. Would your client like to be heard?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. This has been a very terrible experience. I think it's been a tremendous setback for New York and the New York court system. This was a case that Alvin Bragg did not want to bring. He thought it was, from what I read and from what I hear, inappropriately handled before he got there. A gentleman from a law firm came in and acted as a district attorney, and that gentleman, from what I heard, was a criminal or almost criminal in what he did. It was very inappropriate. It was somebody involved with my political opponent. Part of the records that we're talking about, they're saying, I just noticed where he said I was falsifying business records. Well, the falsification of business records, as they say it, was calling a legal expense in the books where everybody could see them, a legal expense. In other words, that legal fees or legal expense were put down as legal expense by accountants. They weren't put down by me, they were put down by accountants. I didn't call them construction, concrete work. I didn't call them electrical work. I didn't call them any. They called a legal fee or a legal expense a legal expense. And for this, I got indicted. It's incredible, actually. Now, if you look, my attorney alluded to it, the top legal scholars and legal pundits in this country, the ones that are quoted all the time on television, that are making their views felt and highly respected people, have said, everyone, virtually everyone that I know of, I haven't seen any to the contrary, not one. And none of these people are not exactly friends of mine, to put it mildly. But they all said this is a case that should have never been brought. It's an injustice of justice. Very respected Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Judge David Rifkin, a wonderful man who just passed away, by the way, Greg Jarrett, Ellie Honig from CNN, of all places. CNN said that. Paul Ingratian, Alan Dershowitz. They all said this is not a case that should be brought. It's not, think about it, legal expenses are down as legal expenses, and I get indicted for business records. Everybody should be so accurate. It's been a political witch hunt. It was done to damage my reputation so that I'd lose the election, and obviously that didn't work. And the people of our country got to see this firsthand because they watched the case in your courtroom. They got to see this firsthand, and then they voted, and I won and got the largest number of votes by far of any Republican candidate in history, and won, as you know, all 7 swing states, won conclusively all 7 swing states, and won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. And they've been watching your trial, so they understood it. I wasn't allowed to use the lawyer-client privilege or the reliance on counsel. I had a lawyer that made this deal, and he admitted that. And he was also a totally discredited person. We weren't allowed to use the information from the Southern District that totally discredited him. It wasn't allowed to be put in. And that was terrible, unbelievable. And this is a man who's got no standing. He's been disbarred on other matters, unrelated. And he was allowed to talk as though he were George Washington. But he's not George Washington. He shouldn't have been allowed. The Southern District did a book of approximately 28 pages where I've never seen anything like it. They excoriated him. You wouldn't let it be put into evidence. So he was able to testify as a witness, and I think it's a disgrace to the system. I was under a gag order. I'm the first president in history that was under a gag order where I couldn't talk about aspects of the case that are very important. I guess I'm still under, so probably I won't do it now. I assume I'm still under a gag order. But the fact is that I'm totally innocent. I did nothing wrong. They talked about business records, and the business records were extremely accurately counted. I had nothing to do with them. That was done by an accountant or a bookkeeper who I think gave very credible testimony and was corroborated by everybody that was asked. And with all that's happening in our country today, with a city that's burning to the ground, one of our largest, most important cities burning to the ground, with wars that are uncontrollably going on, with all of the problems of inflation and attacks on countries and all of the horrible things that are going on, I got indicted over calling a legal expense a legal expense. It was called a legal expense. I just want to say I think it's an embarrassment to New York, and New York has a lot of problems, but this is a great embarrassment. I believe that this and other cases that were brought, as you know, the DOJ is very much involved in this case. It's because that's the political opponent they're talking about. The DOJ is very involved. You have a gentleman sitting right there from the DOJ who was from the DOJ's office. He was also involved with the New York State Attorney General's case. And he went from there to here. He went around and did what he had to do. He got them to move on me. But in the meantime, I won the election, and a massive landslide, and the people of this country understand what's gone on. This has been a weaponization of government. They call it lawfare. Never happened to any extent like this, but never happened in our country before. And I'd just like to exclaim that I was treated very, very unfairly. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, you appear before this court today to conclude this criminal proceeding by the imposition of sentence. Although I have taken the unusual step of informing you in advance of my inclinations, before imposing sentence, I believe it is important for you, as well as those observing these proceedings, to understand my reasoning for the sentence I am about to impose. The imposition of sentence is one of the most difficult and significant decisions that any criminal court judge is called upon to make. Our legislature sets the parameters for an authorized sentence, but it is a judge that must decide what constitutes a just conclusion to a verdict of guilty. A court is vested with broad discretion in determining what sources or evidence it may consider to arrive at an appropriate sentence. In doing so, the court must consider the facts of the case along with any aggravating or mitigating circumstances. In my time on the bench, I've been called upon to grapple with this weighty responsibility for countless defendants who have been found guilty after trial for an assortment of offenses, ranging from nonviolent Class E felonies to the most heinous of crimes, including homicides, sex trafficking, and child sexual abuse. The task is always difficult and deserving of careful consideration, whether the sentence be an unconditional discharge or incarceration of 25 years to life. However, never before has this court been presented with such a unique and remarkable set of circumstances. Indeed, it can be viewed fairly that this has been a truly extraordinary case. There was unprecedented media attention, public interest, and heightened security involving various agencies. And yet, the trial was a bit of a paradox because once the courtroom doors were closed, the trial itself was no more special, unique, or extraordinary than the other 32 criminal trials that took place in this courthouse at the same exact time. Jury selection was conducted, the same rules of evidence were followed, opening statements were made, witnesses called and cross-examined, evidence presented, summations delivered, the same burden of proof was applied, and a jury made up of ordinary citizens delivered a verdict. And it was all conducted pursuant to the rules of procedure and guided by the law. Of course, part of what made it feel somewhat ordinary was the outstanding work, preparation, and professionalism of the clerks, court officers, court reporters, security personnel, and the entire staff of this building who did their jobs as they would with any other criminal trial. So while one can argue that the trial itself was in many respects somewhat ordinary, the same cannot be said about the circumstances surrounding this sentencing. And that is because of the office you once occupied and which you will soon occupy again. To be sure, it is the legal protections afforded to the office of the President of the United States that are extraordinary, not the occupant of the office. The legal protections, especially within the context of a criminal prosecution, afforded to the office of the President have been laid out by our founders, the Constitution, and most recently interpreted by the United States Supreme Court in the matter of Trump versus the United States, which was decided on July 1st, 2024. As with every other defendant in your position, it is my obligation to consider any and all aggravating and mitigating factors to inform my decision. Some of those aggravating factors have already been articulated in my Sandoval ruling at the start of this trial, and by my recent written decisions on December 16th and January 3rd. Thus, they need not be repeated at this time. However, the considerable, indeed, extraordinary legal protections afforded by the Office of the Chief Executive is a factor that overrides all others. To be clear, the protections afforded the Office of the President are not a mitigating factor. They do not reduce the seriousness of the crime or justify its commission in any way. The protections are, however, a legal mandate which, pursuant to the rule of law, this court must respect and follow. However, despite the extraordinary breadth of those protections, one power they do not provide is the power to erase a jury verdict. It is clear from legal precedent, which until July 1st was scarce, that Donald Trump, the ordinary citizen, Donald Trump, the criminal defendant, would not be entitled to such considerable protections. I'm referring to protections that extend well beyond those afforded the average defendant who winds their way through the criminal justice system each day. No, ordinary citizens do not receive those legal protections. It is the Office of the President that bestows those far-reaching protections to the office holder. And it was the citizenry of this nation that recently decided that you should once again receive the benefits of those protections, which include, among other things, the Supremacy Clause and presidential immunity. It is through that lens and that reality that this court must determine a lawful sentence. After careful analysis, in obedience to governing mandates, and pursuant to the rule of law, this court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of a judgment of conviction without encroaching upon the highest office in the land is an unconditional discharge, which the New York State Legislature has determined is a lawful and permissible sentence for the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree. Therefore, at this time, I impose that sentence to cover all 34 counts. Sir, I wish you Godspeed as you assume your second term in office. Thank you.
We will, Judge.
وجوده في البيت الابيض لن يعطيه من تبعات هذه الحكم. الحقيقه هذه نقطه قانونيه بالغه الاهميه، لان ترامب لا يستطيع العفو عن نفسه حتى عندما يتسلم السلطه، سلطه العفو الرئاسي لا تشمل التهم الموجهه من جمعيات اخرى كولايه نيويورك. يعني انه هذا الحكم سيبقى قائما بغض النظر عن عوده ترامب الى الديمقراطي. ترامب لا يزال يجتهد حتى هذه الساعة ولكن ما هو الأهم أننا ننتظر من سيتسلم السلطة سيدخل إلى البيت الأبيض وهو مدان.
you.
Y'all shooting the movie, sir? Y'all shooting the movie?
专门摄影机啊，记者的摄影机整排都摆在这边，很多摄影机啊，照相机啊，对，我就在照相机的前面，前面我在街口，在街口。你看见那个摄影机啊，记者很多那个摄影机都摆在那个马路边啊。我举起来看到没有？举起来一个怪兽。大哥，哎，大哥，这边。哎，嘿嘿嘿。